Hey guys, I just wanted to give you a little bit of a review on slope. So the first one we're going to talk about is slope from 2 points. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you two sets of coordinates and we're going to talk about the slope. But before we do, let's talk about the process and how we solve this. So the first thing we need to remember is the formula. It's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, personally, I don't care about the 2 and the 1. All it really means is whatever order you start in, you do that both times. Now, as a reminder, when you have ordered pairs, it's x, y both times. And if you want to label one number 1 and number 2 so you don't get confused, that would be a good idea as well. Okay? So make sure you have that written down. I'm going to do a little bit of a chunk just so I know. And then I'm going to start giving you guys some ordered pairs so that you can find the slope from the 2 points. Now I'm going to go through them with you just to make sure that you totally understand. So if you need to pause the video, pause it, and then move along as you need. Okay, so the first set of ordered pairs are 3, 4, and 7, 6. So like I said, if you want to actually go in and label them x, y, and you want to say this one is 1 and that one is 2, that's totally fine. But guys, that's up to you. If you can do it without that, that is also fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this and we're going to plug it into the formula. So it says y minus y. I'll do y2. So y2, 6, minus y1, 4, over x2, 7, minus x1, 3. Notice I started with 6, so the x you start with is on the same set. I think that's one of the biggest confusion points. Okay? Now that we have it in our formula, you just subtract. 6 minus 4, well, that's 2. 7 minus 3, that's 4. Now, that problem looks done, but it's not. Think about what you can do with 2 and 4. Yeah, you want to reduce them. So you're going to divide them both by 2, and your final answer is going to be 1/2. So that right there is your slope. It's a positive slope. Okay? So if you want to write that to help you remember, you can do that as well. Okay? So now here's your second one. Okay? So you have negative 2, 3, and then 3 and 2. And again, if you want to label them x and y's, it might be easier. That's totally up to you. So same thing, I'm going to start. Now guys, if I don't want to start with that 2, that's totally fine. Watch, I'll start with a 3 this time. So I'm going to do y minus y. Because I started with this y, I'm going to start with this x, negative 2 minus 3. Okay? So as long as you start with the same one each time, it doesn't matter if you start with the first one or the second one, it'll still give you the same answer. So 3 minus 2 is 1. Negative 2 minus 3. I know some of you guys like keep, change. All this right here is saying is negative 2, keep, change, plus, change, negative 3. You're just adding them. I don't generally do this. It doesn't matter. It's totally up to you. This right here is saying you have 2 negatives and then you have 3 more negatives. So you're adding them. So it's going to be negative 5. And if you want to write it with the negative on the top, either of these would be correct. It really doesn't matter. And because it's negative, you should know that it's a negative slope. Okay? So if you need to pause it. And then when you're ready, move on. We're going to do 2 more. Obviously, we're going to do all the slopes. I want you to be able to recognize them. So that way, when you take your next quiz, it'll be a little bit easier for you, okay? Okay. The next one I'm going to give you is 4, 7, and 4, negative 2. Now, honestly, you should already know the answer, okay? But if not, I'm going to explain it to you. So again, label them if you need to. X, Y, 1 and 2. X, Y, 1 and 2. We're good. Now we're going to set it up. So y minus y, again, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to start with negative 2. So negative 2 minus 7 over 4 minus 4. Okay? Well, negative 2 minus 7, again, you could keep change. This is the same thing as saying negative 2 plus negative 7. That's negative 9. And 4 minus 4 is 0. Right here, you should know your answer is absolutely not 0. Your answer is undefined. And guys, a huge, huge hint. When your x's are the same, that means it's going to be undefined. Because if you think about it, if you plotted those 2 points, 4, 7 is going to be on the exact same line as 4, negative 2. And because the x's are the same, it's just going to go straight up and down. Okay? All right, and then the last one. The last one, we're going to do negative 2, 5, and 3, 5. And again, you should already know what kind of slope I'm giving you. Hopefully you guys have figured that out by now, like that hint I just showed you on the last one. But if not, I'll go over it with you. So y minus y, 5 minus 5. I'm starting with this one. So then I'm going to do 3 minus negative 2. This is a huge mistake right here. We always seem to forget that negative. Remember, if you need to, you can always keep, change. And that right there is the same thing that I do. When I say a negative times a negative is a positive, I just change it to a plus sign. So you get 0 over 5, which you should know is just 0. And the hint for this one, if you notice, the y's are the same. That means both of them are on that same line. There is no change because the y's are exactly the same. Okay? So this right here was just a little bit of a review about the different types of slopes and how you find it from 2 points. So if you need to pause it, freeze, go back, do whatever you need to make sure that you have all of these notes.